gonna do a new album from 2010 here in the end of 2010. Robyn's Body Talk. It's kind of a mixture. She's come out with a couple EPs this year that are 5-song EPs each, and she takes and has remixed the 5 songs from both of those EPs, and then put 5 new songs on this album to make this 15-track behemoth of an album that's very, very similar to like what you would get from Lady Gaga's probably the closest comparison.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of it sounds like metric at times too, or even School of Seven.
The production kind of reminds me of The Knife.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so just to preface this review from MTV, this is the biggest disagreement I think we've ever had.
One of them.
I am going to come out and say I did not like this album very much, and I think I have good reasons why. Mm-hmm. Tom likes it, and I think he has good reasons why. So I don't want you guys to be worried about us. We still love each other. We're still going to do MTV, and every once in a while, though, we're going to have this big chasm between our scores.
I love it.
I love it. I mean,
it's always fun.
I really get excited when we disagree, and I think that we both have really good points here.
Yeah.
So, do you want to go first? Do you want me to?
You start.
I mean, I really like this sound. Here's what I got really good to say about this album. This album is chock full of crazy, beautiful synth arrangements, and it's really hard for me to get away from that, because that to me is just the clear highlight of this album. In almost every track, that is the saving grace of some of the tracks. Even is that how lush the synths are. And there's a couple songs on here like Don't Fucking Tell Me What to Do, None of Dem, and We Dance to the Beat, that are a little bit more experimental, and those are the ones that I definitely favor. Now some things that I didn't like is it follows into this structure that's verse, chorus, verse, chorus, verse, chorus. Not quite so big of a deal because it's pop music. That's normal. That's fine. And I really don't have a lot of problems with that. It's just the problem is that I have with it is that when you have 15 tracks all doing the same thing, it kind of becomes this plug and chug formula, and it gets boring. And I remember, and I was telling Tom earlier that, you know, after I got through like track 10 and 11, I was like, you know, this is okay. I was sitting around a 70 to 73 or so, and then I had to go through the last 4 tracks of the album, which I feel like I had already heard, and I was bored. And that really knocked it down for me, because I feel like I can't listen to it straight through. It's long, it's taxing on me, and I disapprove of it. Now, another thing I have is that I really don't think that you can have an album, a 15-track album full of singles. I think that it's really, really hard to do that without some other sort of you know, kind of guiding hand into the music. You need to put some other stuff in there. You need to station the songs in a certain way so that they play off of one another and exude each other's songs' strengths. And I really just, there's just not enough variety on here in the songwriting and the styles of songs to really do that. I mean, it's very cohesive in one song, but almost too so, because it's not complex enough to really whet my palate at all. And I find it hard to listen to. One last thing that I really struggle with, Tito, is the lyrics. I mean, sometimes, and especially the tracks I mentioned earlier, are I think the lyrics are fine, but it's just at times they just really get on my nerves. They distract me. They're so bad that they distract me from the lush synth arrangements. Now, Tom loved this album, so I'm going to turn it over to him.
All right. Well, this did put me off at first, for sure. Just because the sound, if you've watched this at all, you know me, I'm very wary about the heavy electronics and just the overly poppy sound. And that's exactly what this album is full of. Now, I think the thing that made me fall in love with it is that compared to a lot of the other pop artists, which I don't think you could really compare her to Kesha, but still, just like people like her and Lady Gaga, I like Lady Gaga. But the thing is, those people, I feel like, whether you like their music or not, like I said, hate Kesha, love Lady Gaga, so, you know, I'm even on the fence about a lot of them, is that they are all putting on an act.
Right.
And the thing I loved about Robyn is that she's not putting on an act. I feel like this is just genuinely her and the music she writes. She's not trying to get this edgy attitude just so she can be cool. I mean, she's been doing this for a long time. She's been doing this since the late 90s, since she was a teenager, for God's sakes, when she got signed. So it's like she doesn't have to prove herself as some edgy, you know,
iconic pop star.
Yeah, exactly. She's already kind of hit that. She's just writing the music she wants to write, and I feel like you get that a lot. Now, one thing I really like about the sound is the harmonies she puts in there. I think she has some really good harmonies. She mixes it up a lot with the attitudes, whether she's, you know, I mean, you get that in the first 2 tracks from Dancing on My Own, which is kind of mournful, you know, kind of sad. You know, the guy I want is dancing with another girl. You know, kind of, which, I mean, you know, not the most depth that you'll get from a kind of negative romantic song, but it goes right from there into Fembot, where she's kind of like a robot or something, and yeah, it's really corny, it's really poppy, but for some reason that the contrast you get from those two really sums up the 2 different sides of this album and what it switches back and forth to. Now, I don't think that if you pull any one song from this album, it'll be terrific. And now you're saying kind of an album of singles, and that's definitely what this sounds like. Definitely. And I think if you pull any one of them out and listen to it by itself, that's exactly what it's going to be. It's just going to be a track, a synth dance pop track that's just kind of like, it is what it is. But for some reason, for me, when you put them together and you get those different attitudes and different approaches, and you get those more experimental tracks in there that are ones that you probably wouldn't hear on the radio, but hell, you might hear them at like a rave or something, then, well, maybe not a rave, but a club, then it makes it a little more interesting for me. Now, my biggest complaint about this album is the last 3 tracks. This is 15 tracks long, and I completely agree with Jake on the point that you just, when it's all synth pop tracks, you don't need 15 of them. You get the point. And honestly, in the first 12 tracks, I don't think there's a single song that's worse than any of the last 3 tracks.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I think they're easily the worst tracks. Just lop it off. It's like you've got this album, and then there's just this tumor of bad songs at the end.
Right.
And it's just unnecessary.
Right.
And if it wasn't for those, I would be giving this an even higher score. And I'm still going to give it a pretty high score. But that right there, it's just like, okay, you're getting a little indulgent now. It's not adding to the music. If anything, it's taking away from it, and it's kind of frustrating to me that I have to listen to these 3 songs, whereas I would rather just stop at Dancehall Queen, which is one of the stronger tracks for me. Still, I mean, I can't even fully justify with evidence why I really like this album, but just when we were doing these albums, when we were listening to all of them, I kept coming back to this one, and I had to force myself to stop listening to it so I could get to the other ones. And that right there tells you, I was like, holy crap, I'm just a sucker for this.
It's that sort of catchiness and X factor that, I mean, I feel gets discounted too much in the music reviewing community. And I think that that's one thing that VIMTV anyways wants to bring to the table for our listeners and viewers, to realize that we acknowledge our biases. If something catches us and we just love it, we don't have a defense for it, we're going to just say,
yeah, I'll always be honest
awesome
with you about it. Yeah.
And that's something that we really value. So even though we disagree, we really think that that's why, you know, we can give an advantage to folks, is because we can give you this an average score and we balance each other out there. But what do you guys think? I mean, are you going to be Team Jacob or Team Tomwood? I want to know, and I want your comment at www.velocitiesandmusic.com or www.youtube.com/velocitiesandmusic. Leave us a comment. I want to talk about this album, because this is a fun album, and I still enjoyed listening to it.
Did we actually give our scores?
You know, I'm going to give it a 59.
I'm going to give it an 84.
So definitely a disagreement.
Yeah.
Who do you side with, Jake or Tom? And tell us why, because this is a fun one.
Yeah.
I'm Jake.
I'm Tom.
And we are VIMTV. Thanks for watching. We're going to keep continuing to move music critique forward.